All right, thank you, Miss K, for joining us. First of all, we got to start with Aggie Pride.
Aggie Pride.
So, Miss K is the CEO and founder of Diamond Life CPR. Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right, now give us a little bit about your business. So, before we even start with the business, let us know who is Miss Kawanna.
All right, so I am Kawanna Foster. I am a 2012 graduate of North Carolina A&T. I got my bachelor's degree in the science of nursing, and I have a master's in healthcare administration. And my background is mostly, I've worked quite a bit of different specialties in the hospital setting, from medical surgical to intensive care to PACU, or what people call recovery. And I've done a little bit of outpatient, from like eyes, plastic surgery, GI, and different things. So I've been doing it since 2012, nursing. And currently I have the business, but I still work as an ICU nurse.
Now you gotta let the people know, represent where you're from, ma'am.
So originally from New York, Brooklyn, New York. I also lived in Long Island, but New York is my home. And then currently now residing in Maryland.
Okay. Now it's good that you have a background in what you're selling. So, but what made you want to start this business?
I always wanted to start a business, to be honest, but I was kind of like, do you hear my dog? Is that going to be messing this up? It's fine. Because you hear her like shaking. Sorry. So I've always wanted to start a business. Like I think I've always had like the entrepreneur spirit, but I wanted to do something that I could really be good at, something I was familiar with, and something that would really interest me. And the medical field interests me overall. So that's why I picked this. I have been thinking about doing it for years, but then I did travel nursing for a little while, and I felt like traveling to like different states and not having like a stable, like not being stable at one home space for a long period of time, that I shouldn't do it, because I was feeling like, well, then I'll have to not do classes for 13 weeks, or I won't be able to give it 100% because I might have to move to another state. So I have been thinking about it for years, and then finally, this year is when I decided, like, all right, you're going to take the leap of faith and really do it. But really, I started it in this business because it's in the medical field and it's something that I'm very familiar with.
Okay. So describe, what does Diamond Life CPR offer?
So we offer CPR classes. So one of the classes is ACLS, which is an advanced cardiovascular class. And that's more so for like my medical professionals, my doctors, my nurses. Some hospitals require it for all staff, and some hospitals require it for just nurses who work in the specialty. So I offer that because that's also my community. That's where I see, like, I work in the ICU, so I can offer the classes to my colleagues. I also offer basic life support, and basic life support is like one of the main CPRs, and that's worldwide in all the hospitals, mostly all the hospital employees, or even if you work in outpatient, if you work in like a doctor's office, like a patient first or something like that, the staff need to have BLS, which is the actual CPR class. And then I do first aid, CPR, and AED. And that's something that I offer. It's not, I would say it's for the person who has little to no medical experience. And you don't need the basic life support aspect of the CPR, but you still need to know how to handle first aid situations, how to give CPR to an adult, a child, and an infant. And that's for my people in like the working community, right? If it's like OSHA, if you work construction, even for parents, like it's so many times you hear about kids at the pool that not drowning, but maybe took in too much water and aspirated or something like that. So or even at home, a child choking. A parent will be prepared to do that. Or just somebody who may work at Walmart, or someone who may work at Target, somebody who works for the government. That class is really geared to anybody who just wants to know how to be prepared for an emergency if it arises.
Okay. And why do you feel like, with all of this stuff that you just said, why do you feel like it's really important, especially for like our community, to like really know these skills?
I think it's important because in our community per se, we deal with so much from diabetes to high blood pressure, which could lead to stroke. In the first aid CPR class, we definitely hit a lot on those different things: high blood pressure, stroke, cardiac arrest. Cardiac arrest could really be like sudden. You could really be having a full conversation and be okay, and then 5 minutes later be on the ground. So that's why I think it's important, because what we don't realize is time. The time frame is important. Like, yes, you'll call 911. Yes, the ambulance will come, EMS will come, they'll help. But in that little period of time, whether it's 4 to 10 minutes, you have started something already, and you're already starting the process of helping that person, whether it be a stranger or it could be a family member. You could be at a cookout and somebody could be choking. You are, before the EMS get there, you've already started some of that process. So it helps to just have that knowledge.
Because I think when we were talking before, you said, what was like the phrase you all use? So it's like a minute less. What was it called? I forgot how you put it.
Yeah, I probably don't remember that.
You saying something y'all using like the cardiovascular, like
oh right, like, so we say, like, with stroke, we say like time is brain. I know which one you're talking about, and you got me on the spot now. I can't remember. But either which way, I say that to say that a minute or even the time frame that an ambulance may respond, that time could be literally detrimental to someone's life. Mm-hmm. You could have been starting chest compressions, like they say a person being down. So say, for example, somebody's unresponsive and they're on the ground or something like that. Mm-hmm. That time of 1 to 2 minutes, they're not getting no blood flow to the brain. And when you're doing chest compressions, you're basically pumping the heart and getting that blood flowing again, right? So all that time, whether it's a minute, 2 minutes, all that time counts. And it's counting against you if you're not doing anything for it.
Okay. So what does CPR actually do?
So CPR and chest compressions, they're basically the same thing, right? You're going down on somebody's chest. Mm-hmm. And basically that's helping with the blood flow. So when you're pumping the heart, or pumping the chest, doing CPR, blood is flowing and it's flowing back to the brain. The best way I can say it, so what we call it in class, we say you want to do 100 to 120 beats per minute. So that's chest compressions, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like, you're literally going at it, but you don't want to go fast. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because when you're going fast like that, or when you're going too slow, the chest is not fully recoiling. And that's what I teach you in class. I teach you to let the chest fully recoil. When the chest fully recoils, that means that the blood is adequately flowing to different parts of the body. If that makes sense.
Oh, it definitely makes sense. Do you still teach the whole, is it Staying Alive or a certain song that you do?
Yes. So everybody picks Staying Alive, but actually, AHA, which is the American Heart Association, they actually have a whole full playlist of different songs. I think though that Staying Alive is like one of the most popular ones, but they have Drake on that playlist. They have like Justin Timberlake on that playlist, because it's all about like a rhythm or a beat, I should say, that you're going to make sure that you're staying on track. But Staying Alive is probably the number one song that we normally like. Sometimes I even play it in class. Like, if the mannequins that I have, they're responsive mannequins, so they'll have like lights and stuff on it. And if I see that a student is struggling with it, I'll play the song in the background. As soon as I do that, they be like, "Oh, I got it." So, but it's other songs, like they literally, I think it's on Spotify. They have a whole playlist on Spotify of other songs as well. And I think that that's changing too, because younger people, or not younger people, I guess, is it the Gen Zs? What's 18 to like 25 right now? 18 and 30. Yeah. The Gen Zs, like, they might not know that song Staying Alive, right? It's just, like, who was that? Jack Harlow? He didn't know, like, Brandy and Ray J, whatever that situation was. Mm-hmm. I think that's why AHA made a playlist, because they wanted to incorporate something that was still staying with the times, where people still understood the music, but still understood that beat goes with the chest compressions.
And I think we were talking about something offline before, and I thought about it. I thought about how, like, when we're watching TV, like you said, and somebody like passes out, or like a gunshot victim, and how, they'll call an ambulance, but it's like once the ambulance gets there, it's like everybody just has been standing around the person. Nobody has been like doing no type of CPR, and it's like, and they're just laying there, and we're like, where's the ambulance? And it's like, if we would have known these skills, somebody could have been there at least doing something.
Right. And even with that, like somebody could get shot in like the leg. That doesn't mean that they're going to end up being unresponsive or anything like that. But in the first aid portion part of the class, teach you how to put pressure on the dressing. So this person is wide awake. They might just be in pain. They might just be crying or whatever. But now they're bleeding out, and that's another issue. So never mind, but their heart is okay and they're still alive. And luckily that's the situation. But now they're bleeding out, and if they lose too much blood, that could be another situation. So even with something like that, in the first aid portion, I teach, holding pressure on the wound, or like I teach like splinting, and that's like, say you're on a hike, and this could be random, but you like walking the dog. Like, my friend was walking her dog in the in the grass was wet, and she slipped and fell, and she took a bad fall. But that's because the grass was wet and the dog was like pulling her. But you could have easily broke your arm, broke your wrist. So I teach, like, this person is wide awake, but I teach splinting, where you put two things to make it straight. So that way the person who did injure their arm, their wrist, their leg, or whatever the case may be, they're not going to lose that limb, or it's not going to get worse. The break is not going to get any worse. So, that goes hand in hand with it too. It's not always just about the chest compressions part, but it's about being able to respond in an emergency.
Okay, so given a scenario, like you said, we had the cookout, grandma having a good old time, and she just passed out. What's the first thing we need to do?
The first thing you need to do is say, now it's a cookout, so that means other people is there. Call 911. Mm-hmm. Now, if you at home, you wouldn't have an AED, but it's alerting somebody, call 911, and it's you. You go over to the person, grandma, and you go, are you okay? Are you okay? Now, that's just something that we have to do, because you don't want to start something on somebody who they might have fell and their eyes might be closed and you think they're not okay, and they really like, are moving. And then the next thing, so when you're doing the are you okay, you're checking to see if that person is responsive or unresponsive. Mm-hmm. And if they're unresponsive, you could like examine their chest. Like if you ever like jogged or run, how you be like breathing fast, well, that's your respiratory rate. And for somebody who may be unresponsive, you will see that their chest is not rising or falling. And in that time, and they want it to be like 5 to 10 seconds, no more than 10 seconds, you instantly start the compressions. Because now all right, boom, I alerted my cousin, they're going to call 911. I'm here, I'm looking at her. I see that there's no chest rising and fall. I said, are you okay? She didn't have any response. I'm going to start compressions. Most people, not even most people, the majority of people, probably 98% of people, they're not going to have an AED at their house. But the AED is like, if you ever go into your work office and you see those little boxes, or even if you go to like Giant, Food Lion, you see the little box, that's what it is. And in there is the AED. And basically it's 2 pads. On the pads, it normally tells you where to put it. For adults, it's normally one over the chest and one like kind of right below near the rib cage, and it shows you exactly where to put it, if it's a child or if it's an adult. And it also prompts you. It also tells you what to do. So once you put it on, it'll say place pads. It'll say, and it'll tell you if the pads are not on good, it'll tell you like stick the pads or something like that. And then once it's on, it'll tell you like either some of them, if they're advanced, it might tell you that's more so the defibrillators. If it's advanced, the defibrillators, it'll tell you the person's heart rhythm. If it's just like a regular basic AED, it won't, but it'll tell you when the shock. And that's what that is. That's basically, in that case, they're saying somebody cardiac arrested. And if they cardiac arrested, it's saying that they are outside of a normal heart rhythm. And the AED, the defibrillator, is going to shock them to put them back in a normal heart rhythm. But during this time, you're still doing CPR. Like you're still on the chest, you're still doing CPR. And most of the time we do 2 minutes of complete CPR, and that's 30 compressions, 2 breaths, all within 2 minutes. So it's more than 30 compressions, but we normally do 30 and 2 breaths. But we keep doing that cycle for a whole 2 minutes, and then we would use an AED and shock. And the hope is that somebody on the street, you wouldn't have to actually shock them. The hope is that by that time, EMS is there like, wait, we got it from here. But yeah.
Okay. Now, with the whole COVID situation, I know, back in the day, we was all giving mouth to mouth. So how do we go about that now?
So And I get this question in class every day. So like, for example, American Heart Association, they update their system. I want to say it's every 5 years. So the last time they updated was in 2020. So I still teach mouth to mouth, but I also teach having a pocket mask. And basically the pocket mask, it covers your nose and it covers your mouth. And it has like, I should have bought some material so I could show, but it has like a little mouthpiece, and that's what you would blow in. Now, the average person, they probably not walking around here with a pocket mask. So I always tell my clients, just keep doing chest compressions. Just do, if doing mouth to mouth or giving somebody actual breath, you don't have that barrier, because that's all the pocket mask really is. It's also, it's a barrier between you and that person. And you could just continue to do chest compressions, because the chest compression is still getting that blood flowing. So the person still needs the breaths, but the chest compressions can help alleviate that if you're not comfortable with giving mouth to mouth. But I still teach it in class, and I'm interested to see now that COVID has happened, how AHA or whatever is going to change it up to switch it up with mouth to mouth. Because like I said, people are not walking around with pocket masks, you know. But it's good to know it too, because if it's like your loved one, you're gonna be like, COVID or not, I'm gonna save grandma. you're gonna be like, yeah, I know it's COVID, but it's either COVID or death. And at this point, I'm taking the latter. Okay, I ain't going the other way. So that's the other thing too. It's like, if you're with your relatives, and when I show the videos in class, it actually shows a video more so with a person, a relative, than with a stranger. So if you're with somebody that you know, that you're comfortable with, I'm sure you're gonna be like, I'm gonna give mouth to mouth. I know it's COVID, but guess what? I'm risking it all today.
Yeah, and I think it's funny you said that about the compressions. I think when I was taking a class with my friend, because she was about to have her son, I think his thing was like, we can, repair, like if you're doing the compressions too hard, they're like, we can repair a broken bone, we can't repair death. So
and you know what, I've, especially like on a more smaller person, I have definitely felt myself crack a rib. I have literally felt it under me, but you feel it and you like, holy crap. But then it's like, well, you know what? A little pain to be alive. We're gonna have which one do you want? Okay. Do you want to stay here? Or did you want to go the other way? So I've actually experienced that. And like I said, when you feel it and you like, dang, you'll be in your head like, oh, or if people around like, holy crap, I felt it. I just cracked the rib. And then it's like, they're going to be in pain tomorrow, but they're going to be alive. Pain and alive. So, yeah. So.
But that takes like a lot of pressure, right? Well, I guess on an adult to crack a rib on CPR, or?
I mean, if it's like a smaller person or somebody who's frail, who's like malnourished, it's pretty easy because they're already going into this smaller, malnourished. I've heard men tell me like, oh, well, when I've done it, I've have cracked the rib, not on purpose, but just because their hands are kind of big and stronger. But it doesn't happen. It happens often. But I've only experienced it maybe once or twice. And I know that I've gone like, I push deep and hard and all of that stuff. So, it depends on the person body that you're doing it on. And then it depends on you too, how far you lean over. Or like I said, for men, if they have like big hands or something like that.
How early should we start learning these skills?
I guess there's no real, like I give classes to people 18 and over. So like my nursing students, they come. And so I can't say that there's a real how early, but I will say if you're somebody who works in a field where things could potentially happen, or if you just want to be safe for your family, if you're pregnant, having a child, and you want to know if anything happened to my child, I want to just be ready. So I can't say really that it's a age, like an age group. I guess it's the earlier the better. You don't want to be learning the skills, I guess, at like, way older. But I would say if you're preparing to start a family, if you have a job where you're like, I think I should have this information. People be coming in here and you never know what's going to happen type thing. Yeah, you should get it done. But I start classes from students 18 and over. So I get a lot of like nursing students, or even if they're not nursing students, they're like, I'm thinking about the medical field, or they work in like specialty homes where they take care of like you know, children or something like that, like get a lot of daycare instructors and stuff like that. So I can't say an age group, but depending on your work or depending on your lifestyle, you can start as early as 18. And the certificate is good for 2 years. So then after that, you just have to keep up with renewal, and that's it.
Okay. So you offer infant CPR or?
Yes, I offer infant CPR, child CPR, and adult.
Okay. So I guess I don't know if it's harder to demonstrate, but I guess for those, you know, who having babies, you know, we in COVID, you know, baby running around the house, what's the first thing?
Huh?
I said, what's the first thing? Baby choking on something. What do you do?
Yeah. You know what? More times than we think, babies choke on stuff, especially like and it's hard being a new parent, right? Because you don't have anything. Even being a somebody who have 1 or 2 kids, I think you're constantly learning with each child. But especially as a new parent, you're like, wow, if you don't go to a Lamaze class, or if you don't have the village of people behind you, so you really don't recognize how many people have a problem with their babies choking, or, you know, like babies are not allowed to have water. I'm not sure exactly what's the age, but you can't give like a 2-week-old baby water because the liquid is so thin, they can choke on it and stuff like that. So it's good to know in those aspects because you're prepared. Or when you start feeding your baby, or what they say, like, don't give kids a hot dog and stuff like that because they could choke on the meat and stuff. Things like that happen. They might be at a barbecue, your little 1-year-old, and somebody give them a piece of meat, and the next thing you know, they're choking. So it's good to know in those aspects. You know, it's like, oh, well, not that I was preparing for this, but I'm equipped and I know what to do until the real people get here.
Yeah, I think, because I try to remember from the class. So what was it? I think I guess you would kind of open their mouth to see it. Or what was it? Let me see if I remember. You open their mouth to see if you can grab it with your finger. And if you can't, flip them on your knee or flip them over on your leg. And then I think it was like, this part right here.
Yes. You got it.
Listen, you got it. With your kids, I got them.
That's it. Listen, they in good hands. That's what I'm gonna say.
Yes. So
but that's exactly it. You want to open the airway, so you're opening up their mouth. You don't want to do a blind sweep. So if you see it, you take it out. If you don't see it, you don't want to blindly do it because then you could go further down, or, you know, cause them to aspirate more. And then that's true for an infant. You would like put them over, and like their head would be in the palm of your hand here, and then you would be doing back slaps to help them get it out. But yes, you listen.
I was listening. I was like,
they better know. They better know you know what's going on.
I gotta make sure. Listen, if something happened, I won't have it on my spirit. It happened at Aunt Shamir house. Now, how do we get in contact with Miss K so we can learn some life-saving skills?
All right, so you can get in contact with me. I'm on Instagram at Diamond Life CPR. I have an email address, diamondlifecpr@gmail.com. I also have a website. On the website is www.diamondlifecpr.com. And I also have my telephone number, which is 240-806-1073.
Now, how often do you offer classes?
I offer classes every week. I offer classes mostly though, about 4 days a week. And then some of the days I offer just night classes, but then 4 days a week I offer from the morning until the evening. I also offer weekend classes. My office is located in Laurel, Maryland, 8101 Sandy Springs Road. But I also will go to you. So like I recently did some school teachers, and it was I think it was like 6 of them. It was either 5 or 6. It was 5 or 6. And I just took my equipment. I'm mobile enough to where as long as you have like a TV, so that way I can hook up to watch, because we do have to show videos. But as long as you have a TV where I can hook up like HDMI, or sometimes I go wireless. I like do like the screen mirroring, and I could go wireless and hook it up there. I can take my stuff with me. So, but the office is located in Laurel, and I've done classes in Virginia, I've done classes in Maryland, I've done classes in DC, and I do offer some virtual services, but that's just basic renewals, and little basic things. But if you need a full course, I either would have to come to you or you would have to come to the office.
Now, in coming to people, do you have to have like a certain amount of people, group rate, or is it?
If there's a group, if the group is larger than 3, there is a group rate, but I will still come out for a group of 2 or 3. I won't come out for one person. We have to meet halfway there, but I will come out for groups, anything greater than 2. I will come out, especially like if it's not in a long mile radius. I don't mind coming out there, or I don't mind getting to the community.
Okay. Yeah, so we will be offering, a group class with the Posse, because I think I need to get certified, because
yes,
I
let's do
got the
that.
baby down pat. I don't think I got the adults though. I don't got the adults.
Oh, and you know what? To me, even for me, because I'm not like a pediatric nurse or anything. I'm used to working with adults, so I be always scared. I'm like, am I gonna break the baby? Because when I see babies, and I've held babies before, changed diapers, given a bath, I've done all of that stuff with babies before. But when you see that little tiny little thing, you be like, oh my God, it's so small. You like one little touch and it's like, oh, what did I do? Or if they start crying, oh no. So
but did I break them? Oh my God.
Yeah. So the adult is, I will say though, actually physically doing CPR, it's a workout. I had a guy, I actually just came from a class today, and he was like, I never actually had to do it. And so we practicing doing literally 3 rounds. And he was like, I said, is it hot in here? He was like, well, it wasn't hot when I was sitting down, like little beads of sweat. And I busted out laughing because I'm like, yo, people don't really realize it's a workout, especially when you're doing it correctly. And like I said, the mannequins, they're responsive. So it gives you 2 little green lights. That's how you know you're doing it right. And once you get in that groove, you're like, okay, I got my green lights. Then you're like, oh, okay, I'm exhausted. But it's still fun.
Yeah, because you said, 120 in 60 seconds?
100 to 120 beats per minute.
Yeah. All right, well, thank you, Miss Nurse K, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Book her, support Black owned.
Yes, that's correct. That's correct.
And I'm vouching for her. Aggie Pride. I've known this girl since 06, 07?
07, yes, that's correct.
15 years? Lord.
Time just flew by.
It's flying. But yes, well, thank you for joining. I can't wait to post it. So get that business booming, girl.
That's it. Listen, I'm ready.